Hello and welcome. Welcome to another project video. My name's Brian, aka F1 Pit Pass. Today's project video, we're going to be building a river table. Yep, a table made from oak and epoxy resin, glass, cast 3, epoxy resin. Well, that's the plan, so let's get started. Suitable oak boards were sourced and chosen. These particular planks were chosen for the looks. I love the live edge. Backing boards were glued and screwed to the oak and then sealed using a black sealant to keep the resin within the river. Here we see the black sealant between the base. The oak boards were trimmed to length. End caps were fitted to the ends of the river and glued. Surface of one of the boards was lifting slightly, so that was also glued down. Gravel was poured into sealant, sticking it down to the riverbed to give a more realistic model. Here's a quick overview of the bare boards and the gravel in place. Simple dowel legs were going to be the order of the day. The tabletop was the feature. I didn't want anything to detract from it. I was going to be using various grades of sandpaper and wire wool to finish off any final smoothing. The epoxy resin is glass cast 3. Good reports. Mixed at a ratio of 2:1 by weight. I initially purchased 1 litre total. I subsequently had to purchase a 2nd litre to complete the project. It was a learning process. I was mixing small amounts because I didn't know any better. Calculating, you see me adding a tint of blue for the river colour. Calculating the area volume of the riverbed was almost impossible, and I got it way out wrong. I'll know in future. Yes, I also forgot to use the nitrile gloves, so they weren't any benefit. I did try to scrape out what was left, but it's free running and not much in the mixing container, so that's good. On this resin you stir for 5 minutes. We see the blue tinge. I want it to be translucent. The air bubbles aren't a problem in this instance because I want the river to have character. It's a learning process, this first part of the pour. So when I get to the final pour, I should have more of an understanding of what happens if air bubbles develop and how to avoid them. There wasn't actually many, and a heat gun did solve it very quickly, so nothing to worry about. Here you see me tentatively pouring a small amount when I should have been getting on with it. It's a learning process. I embark on these projects to expand my knowledge, and this one certainly tested me. This is my heat gun for electronics shrink tubing. It could be an aerial view of a canyon in a far, far away place. Look at that beautiful grain in the oak. The river sides could be the walls. How deep is that water? Wonder what lies below. You can see why I chose this piece of oak. I hope the resin brings out the grain. Here we see the cross section of the riverbed, and the banks of the river. Let's give those edges a bit of shape. Time to tidy up the ends where the end caps were screwed on. The trusty angle grinder. The boards have been raised up on some painter's pyramids, and the long level used to check. We want it as near level as we can get so the resin doesn't tend to run off. I'm using an old resin bottle here to mix a new batch, so waste not, want not. I've even remembered to put my nitrile gloves on. I've got in my second order of 1 litre of epoxy, I've decided to mix half a litre. I'm going to spread that half a litre equally on both boards. Anything that runs into the centre over the top of the river will be also welcome, because that'll increase the depth of the river. front to back isn't so important as lengthwise on the river and on the boards. So here we go. Measuring half of the quantity by weight, and then we'll add the hardner and pour it directly onto the boards. Just poured roughly at this point. I'm going to use a squeegee to keep it within the confines of the tops of the board while trying to spread it equally out. It will eventually run off down the sides, but not all of it. It's self-leveling, this epoxy resin, and the consistency is such that you get quite a thick layer on the top. I lost quite a bit there. You'll see me pick that up with my glove later on and wipe around the edges. Wiping around the edges is supposed to encourage it to not have any dry lines, so all good. So it's tempting to just wipe it all off, but that would be pointless. So you'd have to try and keep it within the confines of the board as you're spreading it round and round. This first ever pour on the boards is a bit nerve-wracking because you don't know what you're looking for really. You wonder whether it's going to level out, but it does. You just have to have confidence in the product. And this glass cast 3 epoxy resin, it's absolutely fantastic. There will be other good resins, but I haven't got the experience of any others, so I can't comment. Looking at it from the camera's point of view, there's work to be done on spreading it evenly, but over the next 16 hours or so, as it dries and hardens, it self-levels. Amazing. It's tempted to overwork it. You see me using my gloved fingers soon to go around the edge. Get rid of any runs. There will be drips, but they won't show as curtains. will come back to it during the course of the evening to see whether there's any air bubbles that need any attention. I found some pools and voids on the boards that I applied heat to, and it seemed to move. I didn't have any air bubbles as such that were a large problem. The main concern was where the darker grain close to the river. The darker grain was rougher, and it didn't seem right to sand it on and on and on. So it was always going to be a different texture to the whitish oak. I found that very agreeable to see the difference in the texture. It's tempting to overwork it. At some point you'd have to stop and let it do what it's been paid to do, and that is self-level. It's not paint. There's the gloves off, so I must be finished. Little bit of work with the heat gun. You see it does blow. It blows the epoxy in a wave, so voids can be spread. Any air bubbles can be dissipated rather than popped. Still a learning process at this point. I'm not sure exactly how good I'm trying to get it. Just suck it and see. Let me assure you it's worth a go. The end result is well worth the effort. That shine that you see appearing is even better in the finished product. I think I've finally plucked up courage to leave it. another look around, admiring our work. I love the colours. I had a break for about an hour, and again I did wonder if I'd left it too long, but it all turned out okay. So you can have a break and come back and pour again. Time for the squeegee. This was half a litre each pour on the top surface of the boards. So the river took the full litre on my first order, and this was the second order of another litre. So it shows how much the wood absorbed and how much volume there is in creating any depth in a river. And that's the surface finish overnight. Mirror finish. The reflection of that pound coin. This is early morning with house lights on, so the colours are slightly different. That's daylight, and this is with the legs fitted. So that's the finished product apart from tidying up underneath. Hope you enjoyed this project video, and I hope you'll join me again soon. If you like it, please subscribe to the video and leave comments, which I'll gladly respond to. Thanks for watching.